Welcome back to Cabin View Ventures. Today we're going to talk about the Everything Attachments Wicked Root Rake Grapple that I use for the Kubota L3901. We're going to go over all the specs on it, why I decided to go with this one. We also use this on the Kubota BX2680 that is out at my mom's house. That's a tractor that my dad bought a couple years ago. We wanted to be able to share a grapple that worked on both tractors, which is one reason we went with this grapple. And just to give any of you new viewers a recap on what this channel is all about, you know, we have a 7-acre property. It's all wooded, so we're kind of more about like the small rural living and how you can do that without buying a massive piece of property, you know, something 20+ acres that is insanely expensive right now. So you can do that on a smaller scale, which is what we do. Like I said, we have just over 7 acres. We've built a pretty nice yard space where our kids can play and roam around, you know, a nice playground for them. And, you know, we like being a little more secluded. You know, we don't live in the middle of nowhere. We're 10 minutes from a grocery store, 10 minutes from major highways. So, you know, we don't live far out. But, you know, when you probably look at this on film, it probably looks like we live in the middle of nowhere. But we don't, and you can do the same thing. All right, so this is the Everything Attachments Wicked Root Rake Grapple. Now the rake is a big part of how this grapple is designed. You can find a lot of specs on their website. They do a really good job with videos and descriptions. I mean, these things are built extremely robust. They're all, this is all AR 450 steel, which is a very hard abrasion resistant steel. It's got all DOM tubing. So this thing is meant for some heavy duty ripping roots out of the ground, picking up rocks, good at moving logs. Now, when you're shopping for a grapple, you really want to watch and figure out what you're going to use it for, because there are a lot of different designs out there depending on what you want to do. Because this is a rake grapple, a root rake grapple, you'll see the bottom tines on this are a lot shorter than some grapples. Some grapples have very long tines that almost give you like a platform. And those are good for, you know, picking up piles of brush, picking up piles of logs. You can stack stuff on them. So if you want to move stuff like lumber or firewood or logs, whatever, you know, you can stack right on those long bottom tines. What this grapple does is these shorter tines are meant to dig into the ground to rip out roots. So if you're, you know, clearing some land and you want to put in whatever, a food plot, a yard, you know, whatever it's going to be, that's more what these are designed for. They have this tubing in them that acts almost like a guide, like a depth gauge. So you don't dig in too deep before you hit this tube and just kind of run along the ground there. Because if you dig in too deep, you know, you're just going to get yourself bogged down and not be able to go very far. And then the long top tines are meant for back dragging. So if you want to rake stuff, you know, out of the ground after you dig it up, you know, you just flip that over, back drag it with these top tines, and then you can scoop it up. So I do a little bit of everything that you would do with the grapple. You know, some land clearing, some raking with those top tines. I need to pick up firewood a lot, so logs in particular, to move them around, and moving piles of brush. So you can still move brush pretty well with these. You're not going to get as big a scoop as you would if you had big bottom tines on here. But what you do is you almost grab the pile from the back with your top tine. So you know, you flip your grapple over, you back drag along the back of your pile, and then close it and then clamp it tight and pick it up. So, you know, I'll show you once we do it, but you just basically do everything in reverse as if you were using a grapple with long bottom tines on it. With logs, you know, you're not going to be able to pick up as many, but you've got 3 feet of opening in this grapple. So you can pick up a big log or a couple small logs. Again, you're just going to grab them from the top instead of scooping underneath of them with long bottom tines. So you can still do pretty much everything. You're just going to do things a little differently. So like I said, just more important, figure out what you're going to do with your grapple or what you need your grapple for. If you're just moving piles of brush, you know, you definitely don't want this one. You want one that has long bottom tines so you can scoop big piles and move it to your burn pile or wherever else you're going to put them on your property. But if you need to do a little bit of everything, digging in the ground, moving logs, moving brush, you know, clearing for food plots or pasture, whatever it is, you know, this is going to do a little bit of everything. You know, it's not going to do it as well as, you know, one specifically made for that task, but these do a little bit of everything pretty good. So, like I said, these, this is an everything attachments. There's tons of brands out there, so do your own research. I don't care what you guys get, but you know, I had a lot of luck reaching out to these guys. They were responsive with any questions I had. They did follow up after I bought it to make sure, you know, I was happy with everything. So, you know, really good company to work with. This is a 55-inch. I bought this one because you can run a bigger one on this Kubota L3901. I think they make a 60-inch, they make a 48, a 55, and I think a 60. I went with the 55 because I also use this on the BX 2680 at my mom's house. It's a tractor my dad bought a couple years ago, and we wanted to be able to share a grapple. So we went with this size because it probably a little too big for their BX, but it can still handle it. You know, I'll definitely take it out there and show you guys how it works on that BX. I've used it a bunch of times. One of the nice things with this, being the AR-50 steel, it's very robust, it's very strong, but it also helps keep the weight down. You'll notice a lot of holes drilled through this tubing. This grapple weighs just over 200 pounds. So it's not super heavy, which is why it still works on the BX. And then obviously, if you're gonna run it on multiple tractors, you need to make sure that, you know, your third function is gonna match on the two. And you can get whatever size you want when you buy these. You just have to tell them what size you need for your tractor and what style. So I'm happy with it. I use it a lot. I've used it a lot more on my Kubota L3901 than I have on the BX, but it works great on both tractors. I move a lot of logs with it. I move a lot of brush with it. And I've done a lot of root clearing with it. As you can see, it's pretty muddy. Now, another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, remember I said I had a rotary cutter question for you. So this is my RCR 1860. So it's a 60-inch rotary cutter. It's meant for the L3901, but I am wondering if I can use this on the BX 2680. Have any of you guys used a 60-inch rotary cutter on a BX tractor or a subcompact tractor? The 48-inch rotary cutters are better matched and better designed for the subcompacts. This one is obviously going to be much wider than the piece of equipment, which I don't really think that matters. You know, more weight, you know, is it going to be able to handle the weight? So this rotary cutter weighs 600 pounds. The 3-point lift capacity on the BX is a little over 1,200 pounds. It is, I think, 675 pounds, 24 inches behind the pin, the pins for the 3-point attachment. So I have enough lift capacity, and I don't even really need to lift it. You know, you can just basically tow it. You can just hook it up and tow it with the rear wheel on it. You know, I just need to be able to tow it through the trails at my mom's house, do a little clearing through the woods. I think I have enough power. These 1860s, they tell you it's good anywhere from a 20 to a 65 horsepower tractor. The BX 2680 is a 25 horsepower tractor with a 19.5 horsepower rear PTO on it. So I think it'll work. You know, looking at the specs of the tractor and this, you know, I think it'll be okay. But have any of you guys ever used a 60-inch, 600-pound rotary cutter on a subcompact tractor with a 25 horsepower engine? So if you have, please let me know in the comments. I would love to get a little input before I actually try it out. All right, so I hope you guys could see that well enough on camera with how I was doing the back drag. I was going back and forth a little bit to loosen up that pile. This is a very hard pile of brush to scoop up with a grapple because it's just little chunks of log. There's some old rotted firewood. There's big branches, there's little branches. It's all twisted in different directions. So you really got to work it a little bit. You know, try to get like a loose pile, everything kind of going one direction, and then it allows you to get that bigger scoop. So you can see though, I was doing a lot of back dragging with those long top teeth. And then if you kind of pinch it from the top, you can really grab a pretty good, you know, I mean, that's a full scoop right there. You're not gonna get any more in that grapple. All right, so that's gonna wrap things up for today. Just wanted to do, you know, that run through of the everything attachments grapple that I use on the L3901. I'm definitely gonna get this thing out to my mom's house. I wanna show you guys how it works on the BX. So this 55-inch, you know, is a good size for both tractors. I do the same thing with it out there, just moving some brush piles, you know, mainly cleanup from when we're cutting firewood, you know, and moving that to the fire pit, and then moving some of those, you know, cut up logs down to a place where it's easier to, you know, cut them up and split them. So thanks for sticking through this one. Please subscribe if you like our content. Hit that like button. You know, give me some comments below if you have any suggestions, any questions, or any other videos you guys want to see. You know, please let me know, and we'll see you on the next one.